Hello and welcome back to the channel. If you're new, please do subscribe, leave a like for this video. It will support the channel very much. Thank you. Today we're going to talk about everything you need to know about the NBA. Okay, I'm going to tell you everything about regular season, postseason, the trade deadline, final, the All-Star break, the playoffs, the play-in, the finals, everything you need to know about the NBA as a whole from the start of the season to the end of it. We're going to be talking about in this video, right? So let's just get straight into it. We basically start off around the end of September, right? With this, so this is preseason. Preseason is where all the organizations go to training camp. We're gonna talk about all the organizations in a minute. So preseason is where all the teams go on training camp, and training camp is basically where the coaches check out the players, all the rookies they got, all the new signings they brought in. This is where all the evaluations happen, right? And of the 30 players max that a franchise can sign, they have to determine a 12-man active roster and a 3-man inactive roster that they'll go into the regular season with. Alright, so once this is done, they have a bunch of preseason games all over the world and all that other good stuff. So at the end of October, we get to the actual regular season, right? And things are gonna get a bit confusing here, so just pay attention. Right, so now we're going to talk about the franchises themselves, right? The NBA is comprised of 30 different franchises across the United States and one in Canada, right? So of these franchises, they're split in a few different ways, right? So we have the first division, which is basically amongst conferences. You have the Eastern Conference, you have the Western Conference, right? And then amongst these conferences, there are 3 different divisions, right? Of five franchises each, yeah. 3 different divisions of 5 franchises each. So with that in mind, let's get to the regular season. You'll see what I'm talking about in a minute. So now, from this point on, I'm going to be using the Los Angeles Lakers as an example, just because it'll be easier for everything. It'll be easier to explain everything that way. Okay, so as we head into the regular season with our Los Angeles Lakers example, the Lakers in this instance are going to play every other team in the Pacific Division 4 times. So each team plays all the other teams in their division 4 times. So that's a total of 16 division games, right? Then they're going to play 6 of the other teams. They're going to play 6 teams from the other 2 divisions 4 times, right? Then the remaining 4 teams, they're going to play 3 times. Meaning that's going to be a total of 30 division games. 6 of those teams, they're going to play 4 times. The remaining 4, they're going to play 3 times. So maybe the Lakers would play the Nuggets, the Timberwolves, the Mavericks, and the Rockets 3 times each. And then the Grizzlies, Pelicans, Spurs, Jazz, OKC Thunder, and Portland Trail Blazers a total of 4 times each, making that 36 division games. So 36 games from the other 2 divisions. Then finally, all the teams in the other conference, so since the Lakers are in the Western Conference, they'll play all the other teams on the Eastern Conference twice, once home, once away, making that a total of 30 conference games. Yeah, so to recap, it's a total of 16 division games, 36 conference games, and then 30 non-conference games, which are games from the other conference. Yeah, Lakers playing 16 games with teams in their own division, 36 games with teams in their own conference but other divisions, and then 30 games with teams in the other conference. All home and away, obviously for a balanced home court advantage. Basically, we move on to the All-Star break in the middle of February, right? So the All-Star break is basically where all the fans in the USA and Canada vote on a pool of 14 players in each conference. Then the top vote receiver in each conference is named the captain, and then basically the captains draft their own players from the pool of 14 players that were voted for by the fans. And then the best player in this specific game is awarded the All-Star MVP, right? Which is one of the major award, one of the 3 MVP awards throughout the entire season. So watch out for that. So still with the All-Star weekend, there's stuff like the Rising Star Challenge, the Skills Challenge, the 3-point shooting contest, as well as the Slam Dunk contest, which I'm really not going to talk about in this video. So let's move on to the trade deadline, which is just after the All-Star break. So from preseason up until the end of the All-Star break, franchises are allowed to acquire players through G League contracts, unsigned players, and then most importantly, trades with other franchises. But then at the end of the trade deadline, that's where the last of these 3 options expires. So when the trade deadline passes, franchises can still acquire non-active players who are free agents. They can still sign G League players, but they can't trade active contract players from other franchises. So moving on from that, we get to the end of the regular season where all the award announcements are made. Remember I talked about the All-Star MVP. This is where they talk the regular season MVP, which is I think the most important MVP award, I guess. The regular season MVP. Along with Rookie of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Coach of the Year, and all that other good stuff. And then after that, we get to the play-in tournament. Right? So let's talk about seeding real quick. So now seed just refers to what position you are on the table, which is going to determine which team you're going to play in the first round of the playoffs, right? So the first seed is going to play against the 8th seed, the 4th seed plays against the 5th seed, the 3rd seed against the 6th seed, and then the 2nd seed against the 7th seed, right? But then the 7th and 8th seed in each conference are decided via the play-in tournament, right? So the teams from 9th to 10th the teams from 7th to 10th on each conference after the regular season ends participate in the play-in tournament. And how this works is the 7th and 8th seeds will play against each other. The winner of that game will get the first playoff spot, and then the loser will play whoever wins from the 9th and 10th seeds game. So the winner amongst the 9th and 10th seed will play against the loser from the 7th and 8th seed for the last remaining spot in the playoffs. Right? Great. Moving on to the playoffs themselves, how this works is in the beginning of April, all the top 8 teams in the conference, regardless of division alignment, will compete for the league's championship, right? So seeds are awarded according to your record during the regular season, which is the win to loss ratio, right? So being a higher seed has a few advantages, because if you're a higher seed, if you'll remember, the first seed is going to play against the 8th seed. So if you're a higher seeded team, it probably means, I know this is going to sound weird because I'm recording this video just after the 8th seeded team, the 8th seeded Miami Heat knocked out the 1st seeded Milwaukee Bucks in the first round of the playoffs. But the supposed thinking is that if you're a 1st seeded team playing against an 8th seeded team, it should be an easy win for you. The 2nd seeded Boston Celtics just knocked out the 7th seeded Atlanta Hawks just now, last night I think. So yeah, that's one of the advantages. And then the other advantages of being the higher seeded team in the round is that you get the home court advantage for 4 of the 7 games. So it's a 2-2-1-1-1 system in terms of home and away, right? So the higher seeded team gets home court for the first 2 games, then the lower seeded team is home court for the next 2 games, and then back to the higher seeded team, lower seeded team, higher seeded team. So if we're gonna do this via the Lakers example, the Grizzlies were the higher seeded team, right? So they played in Memphis for the first 2 games, and then they went back to Crypto Arena in Los Angeles for the next 2 games, then back to Memphis for game 5, and then they're going back to the crypto arena for game 6, and then maybe they might go back to Memphis for game 7 depending on the result for the upcoming game. So that's basically how that works. It's a best of 7 type thing, so whoever gets to 4 wins first gets the win, and each conference has their own playoff bracket. It basically goes like that until each conference has its winner, and then the conference winners will face off in the NBA Finals for the Larry O'Brien Championship Trophy. Alright, so the finals are still a best of 7 competition. The first team to get to 4 wins wins the finals. The most valuable player award goes to the most valuable player and all that other stuff. And that's basically the end of the season. From that it's postseason, from that it's off season, and then waiting until the next preseason. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave a like, comment down your favorite team. If you got to this point, I'd really like to know your favorite teams. Yeah, thanks for watching.